What's going on, YouTube? Devin D coming back at you with another video. And I wanted to finally, it's been long overdue, about 2, 3 months overdue, but I wanted to finally come out and give my official, not review, but my official experience, an official account of my experience with over 6 months of doing semen retention. So I've, talked about this in past videos, but I started officially doing semen retention back in October of 2017. October 2017, and I carried out that mission until about early to mid May. Early to mid May. So it was a little bit over 6 months. All the days aren't, exactly 30 days or, 31, but it was about 6 months, give or take, right? And I wanted just to tell you guys all the different things that I experienced, both positive and negative. So first off, I'm going to start with the things that I noticed about myself changing physically. Now, physically, I can't give you guys too much of an account on that because a lot of people experience like a slight increase in muscle gain. They talk about just a little bit more hardness. Maybe their shoulders just look a little bit broader because their posture's better and things like that. Me personally, I didn't experience that because I actually, around that same time, I had to stop working out because of wrist injuries. Both my wrists were they were just shot. I couldn't really do anything. The only thing that I could do was push-ups and a little bit of chin-ups, but mostly just push-ups. So I lost a lot of muscle, kind of gained a little bit of fat, a little bit of flab. So for the most part, my body kind of regressed a little bit over that 6 month period. So I can't tell you too much as far as how I looked physically. Well, not physically, but just my body. But my facial appearance did change slightly. I noticed that my eyes seemed to be a little bit more vibrant. You probably can't tell on camera, but my eyes aren't just super dark brown. They're not just black looking. If you see me in person, they're actually, you can see that they're brown. You know what I mean? And doing 6 months of no FAP, especially semen retention, they really got to a point where they were damn near like light brown. Like you could actually notice that I had brown eyes from a distance. So my eyes got a lot lighter. The whites of my eyes got even wider. I don't do drugs or anything, so they're pretty white, pretty pure, but they got even wider. My hair had a little bit of a shine to it. As you can see, I got really dark black hair, but it was still black, but it had a shine to it. Teeth seemed a little bit wider. I mean, just everything up here was a lot more vibrant, a lot more virile looking, a lot healthier looking. And also, as you guys can see also, I don't have any facial hair. I kind of get the Wolverine, the Hugh Jackman when I let my shit grow out. I just got the big sideburns to about right here. But it was a lot thicker. It was a lot thicker. I didn't get any more growth. I didn't have a full beard, but my mustache, and which I do shave, but it was just a little bit thicker. So there's definitely some physical changes, and had I continued to work out, I'm sure that I would have been stronger. And I kind of can attest to strength gains because even though I took 6 months off, I hardly lost any strength on certain exercises. So physically, you are going to change. Now let's get into emotionally. This is where I mostly saw the best or the greatest amount of change in emotionally. Now, prior to me doing semen retention, I wasn't really irritable. I can be kind of, I don't want to say moody, but most of the time, 90% of the time, man, I'm just chill. You know what I'm saying? I just mind my own business. I'm fairly introverted by choice. But, I'm introverted, just, type of guy. I'm just usually kind of quiet to myself. I'm not talking about when I'm out, but just I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis. Like right now, just sitting at the house, right? And when I got on semen retention, one of the very first things that I noticed, only like 2 or 3 weeks in, I was still introverted. My personality didn't change. A lot of people talk about change with semen retention. I didn't notice an actual change. I just noticed an improvement, if that makes sense. I was still laid back. I was still, fairly introverted, quiet, most of the time. But I just noticed that my mood was a lot better overall. I noticed that I gained a lot more enjoyment, and this was when my dopamine level was being regulated again. I gained a lot more enjoyment from doing just small things. So I didn't gain any new interests. I still enjoyed doing the same things, playing sports, lifting weights, hanging out with friends, doing certain activities, this, that, and the third. But I gained even more enjoyment doing those things than ever before. And I felt a higher sense of accomplishment when I accomplished my goals. So, for example, me and a couple other neighbors, we've been doing a lot of yard work here in the complex. And I remember the first time I saw the grass growing, because the grass was shot. We planted some grass, and I came back from vacation. I came back from New York one time, and I noticed how much the grass grew, and I was just so excited. I was so excited, but that wasn't for me. Just I just planted grass. It's nothing really to be all excited about, but just my dopamine levels were so uh, a lot more regulated. They were a lot more fresh than ever before. I just gained a higher sense of accomplishment that I really experienced in like years. So emotionally, I just noticed a huge difference, as well as mentally. Mentally, I felt the sharpest that I've ever been in my life. I'm only 20 years old, but we've all lived our lives and we've gone through periods where you have brain fog, where your brain seems scattered. You can't find the thoughts that you're looking for. Maybe you can't completely articulate yourselves to the best of your ability. And all of that was completely erased. And I didn't realize how much of a brain fog I was in until I actually started participating in semen retention. And that's when I came to a revelation that I was in brain fog for years, but I didn't really notice that I was in a brain fog because, like I said, I had gotten accustomed to feeling that way. But once you do semen retention for shit as short as maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and you do it by the books, you don't cheat at all, you'll notice how much brain fog you used to just have on a regular basis in previous years. Just mentally, my cognitive function was just at such an advanced level compared to where I was before. It was insane. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily change you. So I still had the same strengths in certain subjects, same weaknesses in certain subjects, but everything that used to be a weakness of mine just kind of started making more sense. I was able to learn faster. I was able to read even faster. I do a lot of speed reading, but I was able to read even faster. I was able to process new information. My memory's also pretty good, but it got to a point where, because usually for me, don't want to get off on a tangent, but my memory's pretty good, but I necessarily won't remember every single word. I'll remember exactly what happened. I'll remember all the important stuff, but I won't remember every single little detail. But when I was doing semen retention, I could remember what the clouds looked like last time me and so-and-so had a conversation. I can remember, what kind of birds I saw. I mean, it was just unreal. It was like I almost developed a sense of a sort of photographic memory. And, let me just say this right quick before I continue on. All of my experiences aren't going to be your experiences. You might have even better experiences, or physically you might see a bigger change than I did, but not as much emotional change as I did. Everybody's body is going to react a little bit different to this change. But I'm just giving you my own personal account. But anyway, so yeah, mentally I was just in a higher plane than I had ever been before. Even to the point, like, for me, math is my weakest subject by far. But I remember I would just look at trigonometry and calculus equations, and even though I couldn't fully understand them, I could it just made more sense to me. I can't even explain it. It's almost just kind of like, well, not kind of like, I was just smarter overall. I was just a lot more intelligent overall. My cognitive function was a lot more advanced. So, and then finally, spiritually, I got to a really good place spiritually when I was doing semen retention, man, because there was no more of that sense of guilt and shame that you feel. Of course, when you watch porn and you jack off, man, I'm just keep it real with you. There's no sense of shame and guilt that you feel anymore. You just feel pure. You don't feel like, you just don't feel like you've been doing anything that you shouldn't have been doing. Every time you watch porn and you jack off, afterwards, you hurry up, close out the porn, and you look down, you're like, God damn, I gotta clean all this shit up. And if you live with somebody, maybe you live with your folks, you live with your girl or whatever, now you gotta look her in the eye and you think to yourself, can they smell it on me? Now I gotta take a shower. It's just, you get rid of all of that, man. And I just felt so pure. And, me personally, I believe in God. And I definitely feel like my relationship with God was strengthened at that point because it goes back to what I was just saying. I didn't feel like I was living in a life, well, I still live a life of sin, but I just didn't have that sense of shame anymore. And like I said, a lot of these feelings that you experience doing this, you won't really experience it unless you do semen retention. Um, or no fap, because a lot of people do no fap but they still have sex and orgasm. But I did it all the way, man. I was having sex. I went 3 months without any sex, and then the second half I was having sex, and I was still retaining that semen, man. And I felt fantastic. So last but not least, I want to give you my sexual experiences. Like I said, I started going in around the 3, maybe the 4 month mark, and I did start having sex. I was sexually active, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic due to the fact that I hadn't, like I said, I didn't cheat at all. I didn't cheat at all. I said, man, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna play by the books. So the first time of me having sex was the first time I had any sort of sexual stimulation in months, in months. And prior to me doing semen retention, I had the hardest time really feeling anything with sex because I always wear a condom. So you had a culmination of things. You had the condom, which automatically takes away a lot of feeling. You had the fact that I had desensitized myself and just, you know, by me being young, a lot of girls at this age aren't too experienced. They don't really know what they're doing. In other words, man, during sex, I couldn't feel shit. But after doing semen retention and allowing myself to desensitize and just kind of made my brain a lot more open to what sexuality really is as opposed to what we visualize sex is supposed to be after watching porn and different things, sex was a lot more enjoyable. Um, and like for me, I've always, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I've always suffered from delayed ejaculation. Delayed ejaculation. I don't know if I said that right the first time, but I always suffer from delayed ejaculation. I can just go pretty much as long as I want to and not have to worry about coming. Um, and even though I still kind of had that to a certain extent, I could also feel that I could come if I wanted to. But I just had a lot more control than I had before. So, in a way, I lasted longer. It's hard to say if I really lasted longer because I've never actually been able to come from just sex, with a condom on. But I lasted longer, but at the same time, it felt a lot better, which is almost before that was an oxymoron. You know what I'm saying? Before semen retention, if it felt better, that meant I was going to come. And if I wanted to last long, that means you want to eliminate almost all feeling altogether. But now it felt amazing the entire time, as sex should. But I also had the control to prolong that feeling for 30, 45 hour, 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Just marathons, marathon sessions, and I had complete control, and I was able to just completely bask in the and just basically the miraculous feeling of sex. You know what I'm saying? If the pussy feels great. So yeah, man, sexually I experienced a lot, and I see a lot of people talking about, yeah, my dick got bigger. I'm not gonna share, I'm not gonna. I'm being pretty open with you guys, but I'm not gonna be talking about my dick with y'all. That's kind of crossing the line. But I will say, your erections are gonna be a lot stronger. I mean, that's just common sense. But if you're used to having weak erections, yeah, you probably will see some growth increase. But nothing really to write home about. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna have a 7 inch and you wake up with a 10 inch 2 months later. It don't work that way. But yeah, man, semen retention was one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and unfortunately, I told you guys from October to May, so obviously it's August now. I kind of been off the high horse for a few months, but I think permanently just my viewpoint on sex, my viewpoint concerning porn and just masturbation and just everything has just been changed permanently. So even though I kind of fell off the high horse, I'm nowhere near where I used to be before, and I'm looking forward. This is my first day back of doing it, And, this time, man, I want to go a whole year. I went 6 months. Now it's time to shoot for a year. Now it's time to shoot for 2 years, maybe even 5 years. Who knows? Um, and it's just like I said, it's almost kind of it's hard to put in words just the amount of benefits that you will reap from doing semen retention, especially when you get to that 4 month mark, that 5 month mark, 6 months. And one tip I could give you guys, just leave you guys with one last gem of information: don't ever think that you've pretty much cured yourself of your sexual infidelity. Don't allow yourself to think that you've completely escaped those lascivious thoughts that you used to experience before, man. Because I hate to look at it this way, but it is what it is. Once an addict, always an addict, and that doesn't just apply to heroin and alcohol and things like that. That applies to more regular things, minute things: phone addiction, video game addiction, computer addiction, uh, masturbation, porn. Once an addict, always an addict. So if you used to have a problem before, or even you might not even know it was a problem, but if you just really got into the continuity of always watching porn, always masturbating, um, you can go right back to it just like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. And even though 6 months is a very long time and your body has healed very fast, your body has the ability to heal at a exceptional rate. But don't let that fool you from the fact that your brain doesn't destroy pathways. It just creates new ones. So those old pathways that used to have you engaging in, like I said, that lascivious behavior, watching porn, masturbating, they're still in your brain. They're still up there. And even though they get weaker over time and you have new pathways that overshadow those old ones, they're still there. And the minute you decide to slip up and you think, oh, I can just get away with doing it one time, you're at risk of allowing those pathways to take over again. And next thing you know, you're back exactly where you started, sometimes even worse. Look at fat people, lose all that weight and sometimes gain the weight back and they're fatter than before. Alcoholics end up taking, they just drink one glass of wine, a year later, they're stone cold alcoholics again. Crack users, oh, I'll just smoke half a rock, I'll just be around my friends when they do it. Now you're back on the streets again, smoking crack. You got to be careful with it. You got to be careful. But at the same particular time, conquering your addiction is also learning how to be around things that used to trigger you and being able to dominate them. So, I was at a point I could look at porn. If somebody pulled up porn, I wasn't tripping. I could look at it and not have any urges. So, you got to find that balance. But like I said, don't ever let your guard down. You can go back to how you used to be just like that. Seriously, you'll look up and it's a month later and you've been cheating for a month. So for all you guys out there, if you're a day in or you're a whole year in and everything in between, just keep your guards up, man. Good luck to all of y'all. I'm looking forward to maybe 6 months from now giving you another 6 month update. So I'm going to stay vigilant. I'm going to do everything by the books. I'm going to try my best to do it. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Appreciate y'all. Leave your comments down below about what you experienced doing semen retention and say how long you did it. But anyway, man, I appreciate you guys watching. Peace.